This week on The Healthy Skeptic.
And he said something that was interesting. He said acupuncture and qigong are very similar. He said because once an acupuncturist reaches a certain level in their skill, they no longer need the needles. And I was like, wait a minute. What do you mean you don't? That's the whole point for acupuncture. And he said, you don't need the needles anymore. He said, when they get to the next level, you don't even have to be in the same building with the patient. You'll go into a qigong and you will meditate and you will visualize that patient and you will visualize the healing that you want to be done. And that patient can be hundreds or thousands of miles away, depending on the practitioner, and the effect of healing still takes place.
The earliest recorded mentioning of acupuncture is dated back to nearly 100 BCE in the works of the Yellow Emperor's Classic of Internal Medicine. Yet thousands of years later, this unique healing modality is still both mysterious and widely available. Does it actually work? If so, how does acupuncture work? Is acupuncture something for everyone? I'm Dr. Nadine Plummer, and today we're taking a skeptical look at the use of acupuncture. So, what are people saying about acupuncture?
I've used it for a while, but I can't tell you for sure that it actually made a difference. So all I experienced through that process was they poked me a lot. And so I couldn't tell if there was a difference because I have a condition that I wanted them to address. But it is a long-term thing, and because it's a long-term process, I stepped out because I didn't have the time for it. So that was my problem, is I needed to give it more time. But the longevity approach, it kind of had me in terms of, yeah, I don't think so. I think I'll try something else, right?
I've only done it one time. I don't know much about it. I didn't find it helpful, but in one time, I don't know that I would have seen any benefits or ill effects from it.
I do deeply believe in acupuncture. Simply, 2,000, 3,000 years old method. It's a very old method of healing. Saying that, I have tried acupuncture on my own body multiple times with not very beneficial results. So as much as I do believe, I think we all react all these beautiful methods differently. You're either ready for it or not, or maybe some method or some medical approach or healing process is very different for each body as well. So I do believe that acupuncture can change a lot and help a lot. It's very subtle, it's non-invasive, there's nothing being injected, it's not medical. And as I said, it has got many, many millennia behind it as a science. It's very personal. And it's same with Reiki, it's all these modalities, they are tapping into energetic part of ourselves. So whether the people are blocked and not ready to receive the healing power of acupuncture or any other similar modalities or not, once again, I would highly recommend everyone to try it. And what I would say as well, try very qualified acupuncturists. There's a lot of acupuncturists that just came out of the schools, and I'm not saying that they don't know what they know, but there is a lot of experience needed. It's very specific. You have to know a lot about it, and try a few different ones, and always verify how your body reacts to it. I believe that I always digest everything through my own experience. So if I do expose myself to any of those modalities, it's nothing that I believe it not. It's open. It comes from my heart. So I want to give it a try, but I always verify through my own experience. So I'm always watching next day or 2 days or 3 days, and I'm just observing how my body reacted to it. So this vessel is the one that knows the best. There's the inner teachers that I always follow. So there's the answer.
It's always interesting to hear how popular trends are perceived by the masses, especially when those trends hit a nerve. But we wanted to get an expert's opinion regarding acupuncture. So we sat down with a practitioner to help understand the science behind acupuncture. Hi, Jacob. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
It is my pleasure, really, yes. And I also appreciate the opportunity that I can spread little more about traditional medicine to people. My honor.
And
Yes.
for the people who come to you for acupuncture or moxibustion, or what the different modalities that you use, what are the main reasons why they come to see you?
Okay, to be honest, it's quite a funny thing to see. Most of the people who see me, they have been through many other medical services and don't find the real benefit and ended up to me. Not only me, I believe many traditional Chinese medicine practitioners will have quite a similar experience. And I don't know why. Also, many of them come to me without knowing right diagnosis on their symptoms and then pain they suffered from for a long time. So probably they believe what haven't helped them from biomedicinal part or any other medical service. There's something that this medicine can help from different perspective. That is what people understand as like wholeness approach to them, instead of fixing their problem, but let them heal. Because that is one major principle of traditional Chinese medicine, I believe. That is what this service do, or I mean, medical practice. Yes.
And have you found over time that there are certain specific conditions that are where acupuncture is more beneficial?
Well, it's hard to generalize the effectiveness of using this needle, but as we know, we are the electromagnetic field, right? So by using metal like this thin filiform needle, we believe actually the certain trigger points can activate our biological conditions, including, of course, immune system and increased metabolism and so on.
And what would you say to people, or what would you specify to people who are really skeptical about acupuncture?
Okay, skeptical. Okay. Sometimes there are clients who come to my room because they were simply referred by other practitioners, like a chiropractor or RMTs. And I can see something from their facial expressions right away, almost right away. Some of them are like a half and half, dubious, but still open-minded. And then I introduce the basic principle of acupuncture treatment, and then they show curious mind right away. And also, I try to let them actually speak more instead of trying to explain what it is. And then I usually begin with one needling, and then ask them, like, is it really painful to have? And then they often say, no, I didn't even feel that needle entered my body. And that's how I usually guide them into acupuncture field.
Traditional Chinese medicine is believed to be nearly as old as the invention of writing, but somehow there remain some mysterious aspects to the practices. We sat down with former high-level martial artist Eric Wilson to understand the roots of acupuncture better. Thank you for joining us, Eric. Eric, I know that you have a history of martial arts. I'm just wondering, how are martial arts related to Chinese medicine tools, acupuncture in particular?
It's interesting because when I began in martial arts, I never had any intention of becoming involved in any form of healing. But because of the emphasis on energy and qi in the traditional Chinese and as well as the Japanese martial arts, I began learning about Tai Chi and Chinese Qigong, and the more that I felt that I could understand about this energy, the better it would help me with my martial arts. So as I began studying traditional Chinese medicine and Chinese Qigong, it opened the door to all types of different forms of healing. One of those forms is acupuncture. So I remember when I was struggling in the martial arts to separate the physical from the spiritual, one of the first things the Lord led me to find was a book, and it was called Exposing the Cult of Qigong for What It Is, Light in the Darkness. And it was written by a Chinese man named Sao Yung. And this man was in China. He was raised in China. He had no Christian background. He didn't know any Bible stories. He didn't know about Jesus, had never even heard the name Jesus. And yet the Lord Jesus Christ came and found him and sent two other Chinese people to help this man be free. He was a Chinese Qigong master. He was doing unbelievable things in the Chinese arts, which you're familiar with Qigong. As he was doing this, I read this book that he has for free online. I read it in 2 days. It was exactly what I needed to read, because he was using the terminology that I was familiar with. For almost 25 years, I knew what he was talking about. And he got to a certain chapter in his book and he just started describing acupuncture. And he said something that was interesting. He said, acupuncture and Qigong are very similar. He said, because once an acupuncturist reaches a certain level in their skill, they no longer need the needles. And I was like, wait a minute. What do you mean you don't? That's the whole point for acupuncture. And he said, you don't need the needles anymore. He said, when they get to the next level, you don't even have to be in the same building with the patient. You'll go into a Qigong and you will meditate and you will visualize that patient and you will visualize the healing that you want to be done. And that patient can be hundreds or thousands of miles away, depending on the practitioner, and the effect of healing still takes place. So when I read that, I was like, I knew, okay, God, I'm hearing your voice. I understand now.
Can you help us to understand a little more about the actual history of acupuncture?
Acupuncture, the oldest reference that we have to traditional acupuncture was written in a book called The Yellow Emperor's Classic. And this book was, they say, 5,000 years old. I don't know if it was actually that old or not, because we know that the world has not been here for much longer than 6,000. But regardless, in that book, The Yellow Emperor, he had his priests, which these are Taoist and Buddhist priests. They were writing to the emperor the different methods for healing and treating diseases. So in this book, they talk about acupuncture as being one of the primary ways to heal disease. And they say in this book that diagnosis and the cures used in acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine are all based on what's known as the 5-element theory and on a mystical power called yin and yang. Yin and yang is said to be two different energies. Yin is feminine energy, yang is said to be male energy. And they are supposed to circulate through the body through the conception vessel and the governing vessel. And one is yin, female, one is male. And through getting those two energies to move through the body in a clear path, you're said that you achieve health. Now, what the traditional Chinese medical doctors will say is all health or disease or health malfunctions is caused by a disruption or a blockage of this energy of qi flowing through the body. So they say the way to get that energy moving freely again, one of the primary ways is through acupuncture. Now, They also teach that this energy, the yin and the yang energy, not only does it travel around the body in this orbit, but it also, they say, travels through what is known as 12 primary meridians within the body. These are said to be energy pathways. Even though they say they exist, there has never been one scientific or medical examination that has ever been able to find them. Now, what the traditional Chinese doctors say is, well, of course you can't find them because they're not physical pathways. They're not physical tunnels. They are spiritual tunnels for a spiritual energy. So they say that this spiritual energy that you can't see, you can't measure, you can't touch it, but yet you can see the effect of it. They say this energy runs through the 12 meridians of the body, and sometimes you get a blockage, and that blockage stops this energy from flowing correctly. So they put a needle into one of, traditionally there was 365 acupuncture points. That's also interesting because there's 365 days in a year. The oldest manuscripts record only 360 acupuncture points. And we know prior to the flood, there was only 360 days in a year. All the traditional acupuncture doctors and healers will tell you that acupuncture can't just be done any day of the week. They want to know when you were born, what year, what day, what month, and that will affect where they put the needles and what time of the day they do the acupuncture treatment. You're talking about astrology here, which the Chinese are heavily, traditional Chinese medicine is heavily based on astrology. So the 5-element theory and these mystical energies of yin and yang, that's the source of this practice.
You know, it's interesting because we've seen positive studies affirming the science and benefits of dry needling, which is becoming more and more popular now. I'm wondering what the relationship is between dry needling and traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture. Is it the same thing, or are these completely different tools?
What I'm going to say is probably going to upset some people, but I have to tell you, just from my experience, I believe that dry needling is just a door opener for acupuncture. The devil has met a lot of resistance with acupuncture, especially among Christians. So he's introduced this technique just to get the door to crack open so that people will begin using acupuncture. Now, I want to show you something that I found a number of years ago, and this was very eye-opening. This is taken from a magazine called Science Daily, December 1, 2008. And the article's information is sourced from the Swedish Research Council. This is what they say. This is a direct quote. Acupuncture works, but it works equally well with or without needle penetration. This conclusion is drawn from a treatment study involving 215 cancer patients that were suffering from nausea during radiotherapy. Chosen by lot, 109 of these patients received traditional acupuncture with the needles penetrating the skin in particular points. According to ancient Chinese tradition, the needle is twisted until a certain, quote, needle sensation or feeling arises. The other 106 patients received a simulated acupuncture instead, with a telescopic blunt placebo needle that merely touches the skin but does not penetrate it. Afterwards, 95% of the patients in both groups felt that the acupuncture treatment had helped relieve nausea, and 67% had experienced other positive effects, such as improved sleep, brighter mood, and less pain. I mean, that's scary. This was a scientific medical study that showed this.
So you're saying that the practitioner is channeling, to use your words, something spiritual in nature, whether they realize it or not. So any practitioner who's doing acupuncture is channeling something spiritual in nature, possibly and maybe
Yes.
quite often unbeknownst to them.
Yes. And,
So
and one
my
of the things that's important is, let's say you have an American doctor or a Canadian doctor or a doctor in the UK or in Spain, and they're a medical doctor, they're an MD or they're a surgeon or whatever, and they decide they want to begin learning how to do acupuncture. Where do they go to learn? They go to learn from the traditional Chinese medicine. And traditional Chinese medicine, we just looked at, is based on the five element theory and on the principle of this mystical energy called yin and yang, which yin and yang, which you know is the little circle with the black and white, that's the symbol of the Tao. And the symbol of the Tao is male and female energy. It's hot and cold, it's good and evil. But when you go to the highest level, that symbol of yin and yang is actually flesh and spirit. It is the joining of flesh and spirit to achieve a result, whether that be a martial result or whether it be a healing result. So when a doctor goes to learn these practices without knowing it, they are still being indoctrinated in Buddhist and Taoist and Hindu philosophy and religion. And that opens the door for evil spirits to begin to influence them and work through them.
Right. So it seems as though there is a religious or spiritual implication to acupuncture, whether the practitioner knows it or not. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it is spiritual. Even the Chinese doctors say that. There are people in China right now that are doctors in traditional Chinese medicine. Many of them have got 40 or more years experience, and many of them are upset by what we are trying to do with their arts and try to make them physical. There is no physical.
So, Eric, what you're saying is that there are religious or, let's say, spiritual implications of acupuncture based on its original origin, whether the practitioner knows it or not. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And the thing that makes that so obvious is that if you have a Western doctor, someone from Canada or the United States of America or from Europe, if they are an MD or a surgeon or an endocrinologist and they desire to begin practicing acupuncture, where do they go to learn this art? They don't go to medical school. They have to go to traditional Chinese medicine. And we saw from our earlier slides that all traditional Chinese medicine is based on the five element theory and also on the principle of yin and yang, which is this mystical energy. So when they begin learning these arts from these sources, they are opening the door for the spiritual influence of those evil spirits that originated those arts. That it automatically opens the door to evil spirits.
And so you're saying that acupuncture is a questionable practice, whether you're Christian, atheist, believer, non-believer, for anyone in the general public. That's a big statement.
It is a dangerous practice for anyone, because when Satan takes us off the path of life, which is God, which is Jesus, when he takes us off that path, he takes us onto a side path. And that side path always leads to destruction. It always opens the door to evil spirits. Many people that are not Christians, whether they be Hollywood stars or whether they be celebrities or whether they be sports stars that have taken part in these practices like acupuncture, they have opened the door and allowed evil spirits to begin influencing their life. And sooner or later, those spirits reveal that their very nature is antagonistic to life and to peace and to true love and to harmony and to health.
Are you saying that every person who's ever received acupuncture has opened themselves up to a demonic or an evil spirit?
to a demonic or evil spirit's influence. Doesn't mean that they're possessed, but it means they have opened the door to their life to be influenced by these spirits. So regardless of how long ago it was, regardless of whether you've been baptized and joined a church or not, I encourage everyone that has had this done, go to the Lord Jesus Christ, ask him to forgive you, and tell the Lord, I'm taking back the rights that I've yielded to the enemy, and I'm yielding my life to you and you alone. We have got numerous videos on our YouTube channel. People can write to me. Our email should be available. I'd be happy to send you videos as well as articles and other messages, video messages that will reveal this in much greater detail.
What a shocking testimony from Eric Wilson. If everyone knew the experiences that we just heard, and if everyone knew this history, would the world be a bit more apprehensive about using acupuncture? As individuals, that question is left with us. But now we're going to weigh the evidence and let the chips fall where they may. The most common indication for acupuncture is pain, and there are studies showing that acupuncture reduces pain. Similar to energy medicine, it's not quite scientifically clear what the energy is that is being used to make acupuncture work. Although qi or qi is mentioned in Chinese medicine texts, modern science has yet to define what that energy flowing through the needle actually is. Many studies show acupuncture to be effective in addiction cessation, including the cessation of smoking, heroin, and other drugs. Despite its aid with pain, acupuncture has been shown to cause adverse reactions in approximately 9.31% of people. In other words, just under 1 out of every 10 people will have an adverse reaction to this treatment. Studies show that acupuncture can be very effective in helping with emotional and mental challenges, such as anxiety and depression. Finally, a 2023 evidence mapping study based on data from hundreds of systematic reviews identified adverse reactions to acupuncture, including pain and bleeding, and severe events like organ damage. There is much here to be skeptical of. Not only are the origins and the energy behind the practice of acupuncture questionable, but even the scientific literature has found that the effects are often inconsistent. I am skeptical of the spiritual origins and the roots of acupuncture. Let's not take the risk with methodologies that give us more questions than answers. For now, my friends, stay selectively skeptical.